Well, it is an important American ally, and it is in turmoil. A late-night deal is said to have been struck with Yemen's besieged president, who has now given in to demands by Iranian-backed Shiite rebels. This is a way to defuse a political crisis that has now engulfed this U.S. ally. And the question is, how long will it last, and how does this then change the fight on power? Let's bring in Robert Spencer of Jihad Watch. Good to have you here this morning, sir.
Good to be here. Thank you.
So there's a whole bunch of stories kind of developing out of the Middle East that are really big, and I want to start with this issue in Yemen, because obviously there's been this, lawlessness going on for the last little while these rebels go in. They took the palace under siege, and the president, in order to unlock himself, essentially had to give in to the demands. What does it mean? Where's the power shift now?
Well, it means a victory for Iran, because the rebels are Shiite, they are backed by Iranian money and weaponry, and they have now won guarantees from the president that they will have an increased role in the governance of the state.
Sure.
And so Iran will have more influence in Yemen, and this will not necessarily hamper the fight that the U.S. has been waging against al-Qaeda in Yemen, because the Iranians hate al-Qaeda as much as the United States does. The problem is, however, with combining this with the new Russian agreement with Iran, it's just strengthening Iran across the board, and that could bode very ill for the United States in the near future. Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about that deal, because I was shocked, and I don't know how much truth to this is, because it's not getting a lot of reportage, but Russia has agreed to give Iran a missile defense system. This, to me, is absolutely ludicrous. Theoretically, Iran, backed by Russia, will not only have capability of more nuclear power, because if America does not get this deal in place, they could have a nuclear bomb at some point, but with this missile shield, they'll literally be untouchable.
Yes. And Vladimir Putin, he has been very clear as to what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
He's trying to restore Russia as a world power, and that means, to a great degree, restoring the Cold War.
Yeah.
And so he's moving, obviously, to make agreements with Iran in order to weaken the United States and to put us in a very difficult position. And the events in Yemen only aid that effort.
Yeah, the Cold War with a nuclearized Iran is a lot more frightening than a Cold War of what we know from the past. And so, the president during the State of the Union hardly talked about the issue of terror. He was so going on about his wonderful accomplishments everywhere else. But, some of his highest-ranking Democrats are now even speaking out on the issues of how he's playing his foreign policy. Bob Menendez, who's a senator, was saying that it's like he's getting his plays right out of Tehran. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I have to be honest with you. The more I hear from the administration and its quotes, the more it sounds like talking points that come straight out of Tehran. And it feeds to the Iranian narrative of victimization when they are the ones with original sin. An illicit nuclear weapons program going back over the course of 20 years that they are unwilling to come clean on. So I don't know why we feel compelled to make their case.
I don't understand why this is not getting bigger play in the media, because Iran with a nuclear capability is about the worst thing that can happen, especially given the situation that it is now. Now, the GOP, obviously, that they've invited Netanyahu to come and speak. They've gone around the president on the issue on this. Where do you sense that this is going? Is the GOP going to meet with Netanyahu to try to build something and somehow get, sanctions in place or something to stop Iran from nuclearizing?
Yeah, that seems to be what Boehner has in mind. That's what he said, that he was going to not make any promises about new sanctions on Iran. He was going to resist the president in trying to make a bad deal with Iran and bring Netanyahu to Congress. Obviously, is all part of the same initiative. Whether he will follow through or not, that's another matter, because Boehner's been notoriously weak and given into Obama so many times in the past that it's highly questionable that he'll pull anything off. But the statement from Menendez was remarkable. That was great. That's the kind of thing that the media ought to be saying. And but instead, of course, you know, they avoid everything in the mainstream that makes Obama look bad. And so even when he is capitulating essentially to Iran and enabling this Russian effort and this Iranian effort that could be disastrous for the United States and its allies, they don't have anything to say about it because they have to protect their man. All
right. And so what in your opinion, when is the timeline for a nuclearized Iran? How quickly are these developments going to stop? And can they stop Russia from putting in this missile defense shield?
How quickly Iran will be able to develop a nuclear weapon is something that nobody agrees on and has been argued about for years. Clearly, they're working toward it. Clearly, time is short. Clearly, the states that have an interest in stopping them should act sooner rather than later. But I don't want to give any estimates. I've seen so many people give estimates and say, oh, they'll have a bomb in 6 months, they'll have a bomb in a year. You never know. But certainly they want to, they have genocidal aspirations, and they have to be stopped. And the problem is, Obama shows no interest in stopping.
No, he doesn't, and 2 years to me is far too long, so I hope the GOP can do something, or the media at least picks up on this and starts putting more pressure. You know, he claimed during the State of the Union that, you know, for what little he did talk about the situation with ISIS, you know, he said that they were not spreading any longer in Syria, and he kind of painted it as, you know, this is a problem over there, we don't have to worry about it here. So he's either completely living with unicorns in a fantasy land, or he doesn't understand or care to fix this problem.
Well, he's covering up for the fact that the Islamic State exists because of his failed policy.
Yeah.
And so now he's boasting that they've stopped their expansion. Well, they control a territory larger in size than Great Britain. And so this is a victory. This is a disastrous defeat. If he was saying they're rapidly losing territory, which they aren't, then he might be able to portray that as a victory. But what he said was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, you know, ISIS reports coming in that they're recruiting now in Yemen. Not a lot of them. Al-Qaeda is still the overriding, you know, faction there, but the fact that they're there now is problematic because they're spreading all over the place.
They are. They're there. They're in Afghanistan. They're recruiting. The Taliban doesn't have any problem with that, apparently. Maybe the Taliban is going to sign on to this caliphate idea. This could become a much larger problem than it is now in the very near future.
Yeah, interesting times, scary times. Nonetheless, I appreciate your insight into this, Robert. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Robert Spencer joining us this morning.